Good evening and welcome back to the Seasiders podcast Friday night preview show. We are live on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. So welcome to all those who have joined us. Bang on kickoff. It's an action-packed show where we're talking all things Shrewsbury, a little bit about Steve Cottrell and maybe getting the panel's thoughts on the Super League. And we'll finish off with team selections and score predictions ahead of this weekend's game between Blackpool and Shrewsbury at Bloomfield Road. So we'll crack on bringing our guest into the fray. And it was a bit strange last week with this guy missing, but I know where he's been. He's been to the hairdressers. It's Tom. Tom, welcome back to the Seasider podcast. How things are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Just a really long few weeks at work, but yeah, it's amazing to be back and yeah, looking forward to the show.
Definitely. And this man's back, Sean. Sean, it was strange not having Tom with us last week, but it's good to have you back with us this Friday evening.
Yeah, it was nice not to hear some incoherent ramblings for once, but yeah, we'll crack on. We'll crack on.
We'll see how he does this week. If not, we're loaning him out for the rest of the season. We're also joined by Shrewsbury fan Martin. Martin, welcome to the Seasiders podcast.
Oh yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you.
Good stuff. So yeah, it's been a good week so far. Sun shining up here in Scotland. So which is,
that doesn't happen. That's a rarity, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I seem to have picked up a bit of a cold, and it's not a surprise because I think it was snowing about a week and a half ago. So yeah, but yeah, great times. We're looking forward to the beer gardens opening on Monday and the gyms. So yeah,
has that not opened in Scotland yet? England, it happened last Monday, I think.
Nah, I've had all my pals sending pictures and that, so thanks to them. It's been much enjoyed whilst I'm waiting, but yeah. It would have been. It's a shame, really, because the trip to Blackpool would have been a good one this weekend as well. So we've obviously locked down, but oh well.
Yeah, hopefully next season you'll be on the Fylde Coast. But Martin, we'll start off by asking you a little bit about how you got support in Shrewsbury, any early memories, and also this new podcast that you started and hoping to really get underway next season.
Yeah, so first of all, just like my website, I run the Killysh Review. Just coincides with my Kilmarnock, where I moved up to when I was about 9 years ago now. So yeah, just really done it for a bit of spare time just during lockdown, and I've quite enjoyed it. And then yeah, the podcasting side of it, I've sort of touched base and done a couple so far, and it's just early days, so it'll be on my main the Twitter page on Slopey and Kelly, where they have all the links, and hopefully I'll get a bit of a structure towards next season, and hopefully a bit more going forward with that. But yeah, no, just a bit of fun at the minute. It's quite good to sort of have that interaction during lockdown. Mm-hmm. You yourselves will probably agree. It's not the same, watching it on iFollow. So it's good to sort of have that interaction with other fans as well.
Yeah, how have you found watching the games on iFollow? We ask this every week, really, to our guests, but have you found it strange? Have you got used to it now? That some iFollows are still playing up from the start of the season?
Yeah, to be honest, I've never experienced any issues, which was great because I remember there was one Shrewsbury game, and I think it was a Sunderland game that just popped up. So yeah, but no, it's weird. You sort of get used to it, but I think because things are sort of eventually coming into play, like you have to go out to a beer garden now, this, that, and the other. And obviously, you just want to get there now and do everything again. So yeah, I mean, you get a better view of the game. Don't get me wrong, but you don't get the atmosphere. You don't get that buzz. You kind of beat live football. So yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? So, but it is what it is. Yeah, fingers crossed. Next season it's back to normality of some sort.
I'm sure Blackpool fans might be having a trip down south, maybe end of May. We'll have to wait and see. We'll let you know how that is being back in a stadium. So we'll leave that. Just like your friends teasing you with those pictures in the beer garden. Let's kick things off a little bit. I know some of us might have been on the podcast on Tuesday after Blackpool's 1-0 defeat to Rochdale. Tom, did you watch the game on Tuesday? And if you did, what were your thoughts?
Dross. I did watch the game. It was, it's not a game that we're used to at the moment, is it? We weren't anywhere near to what we should have been. Eventually that game was going to happen, and I think I said earlier in the chat that it was one of those games like when we played against Ipswich, we probably wasn't expecting to play like that, and we did. Credit to Rochdale, it was a half decent goal by Rathbone, but we were nowhere near. And if we were anywhere near to our standards, then we would have won that game. But it's happens. It's how we react now, and how we react to the loss now, and hopefully we see that tomorrow.
Yeah, Sean, 16 games. That run's come to an end now after Tuesday night. Sometimes I think Chris Maxwell said in his post-match notes that sometimes you actually do need a defeat to kind of look back and reflect and be stronger. Is that something that you would agree with what Maxwell said?
I mean, not necessarily. You're obviously going to wheel out that line after you've lost the game. You're going to try and find the positives out of it. But obviously, critically alluded to obviously the fact the last time that the result was Ipswich, the last time we lost, and that was such a poor game, and it just seemed like we were off it in every department. And then suddenly we went on this run. So if it's that reset that you need, then sometimes you just need that to sort of give you a kick up the backside and go, well, you still have to turn up in these sorts of games against teams like Rochdale, as they are going to turn you over in this division. And sometimes you can be culpable for that. I don't necessarily think that was the case. I just think sort of a few different factors came together. Rochdale were really high intensity, quite quick on the ball, and they were really up for that game. You could tell how much that meant to them. That was their chance to really push forward. And obviously, had they not won that game, the results elsewhere would have meant that they obviously pretty much done at that point. And then you've also got to factor in, obviously, we've had a couple of injuries, as we always seem to have. And then you've got the fatigue of just sometimes it does come up to catch you, really. I think that result's kind of been coming the past couple of games, Accrington and Sunderland. I think even though we won against Sunderland, it was a similar performance to Accrington, really. It was quite slow and passive at times. And it just seemed like that result has probably been in the pipeline for a week or so and now. But it's just about, obviously, as we said before, how we react to it. It's a decent chance to react. But it'll test really the other people in the squad who haven't particularly shown much in recent times. Look, even Robson hasn't had much of a chance. There's a few players that have got a chance now to step up where other players are starting to falter a bit now towards the back end of the season.
Definitely. Just a few comments here, which you would have seen Steve's on the screen before. I think some of the comments, RE Tuesday, are a little harsh. I know we're off at the pace, but we still were the better team. And Dan BFC says that we struggled against a team with three in midfield who've pressed us in possession a few times this season. Was credit to Rochdale that they've tried to find a new way to win. Again, we've been on a great run, haven't we, Tom? That it was going to come to an end at some point, and it's important now how Blackpool react.
Yeah, as Sean just alluded to, I think we were just off the pace a little bit, and we tired or not with injuries, maybe catching up, but we played the wrong system. Let's get it right. I think Critchley's had his praises this season, but he deserves criticism sometimes, and I don't think we should have gone 4-4-2 against them, and he should have maybe spotted that earlier doors as well, just to change it and find a new way to win. We didn't really have any clear-cut opportunities. I think Sims has had the only sort of decent strike on goal, and credit to him, as a decent strike, but we didn't really trouble them after that. They played a system where they pushed high and it overran us, and when that goal came, it was going to be quite difficult to score, and we're used to us getting that goal. But like I said, I'm not going to overreact to it. I said the same Tuesday night. I'm not going to overreact to that performance. It just needs to be the right performance tomorrow to sort of put it right. And if we have any hope of doing well in the playoffs, we need to kick on from here. Despite the run we've been on, it's been tremendous, to be honest with you. But as Shaw said, there's been games in there where we should have lost. And also in that run, we've beaten teams that we didn't think we were going to win. When we played Peterborough and we won 3-1, it was an incredible performance. We deserved to win, but everyone was still like, oh my God, we've just beaten Peterborough. At that point, we knew we shouldn't fear anyone in the league. And like I said, hopefully Tuesday's just a blip, and our squad's certainly good enough to put it right and do well.
As Stephen Tomlinson says, just need to reset and go again. I think that sums up it perfectly. Martin, I'll come to you next. Obviously, a game midweek, lost 2-1 to Wigan, who seem to be just outside the relegation zone now. What did you make of your team's performance in that 2-1 defeat?
Yeah. it's just we're sitting on the beach, like we're we should really I mean, a few weeks ago we're 12 points clear of relegation, but teams have picked up, and I think players are just relaxing. We've got the 50 points, and then it's a bit like, I don't know, they're just typical Shrewsbury, really, just not really. They've been poor in attack all season, but no, I think they're wrong. The three in the middle that we play, so we play like three in middle, and they're all too defensive. I just feel as though need to change it up a wee bit. And yeah, I mean, our strikers have been poor all season. I mean, Callum Lang, who scored against us, we always seem to have ex-players that score against us as well. And it's individual mistakes that have cost us the last few games. It's the same with Doncaster as well. And Shrewsbury's downfall has always been teams down the bottom or teams that are on a poor run, and that coincided with the last two games. And you could just see that coming, that result, with the way we've been playing recently, just too relaxed on the ball. Not treat, and it's to be fair, Wigan are fighting for their lives, and they've got 3 great wins before us, so they're on a really good run anyway. And you cannot give any time on the ball to players, especially for teams that are fighting for their lives. And credit to Wigan, they took the chances, and they could have had more. We just need to pull ourselves together and basically get a result soon, because if we don't be careful, we could be leaving it. Depending on how other results go, we could be looking a bit worried. I don't think we're going to go down. Can't see it, but you just don't know in football, do you? Anyone can beat anyone in League One. It's an amazing league. I mean, you're just talking about your result there. I couldn't believe it when I seen you lost to Rochdale after the run you've been on. But like you say, it just goes to show one bad tactical decision. If all the players aren't up to it, they just take advantage. And obviously, Rochdale are no mugs. They've gone and got some good results themselves recently, and same with teams that we've played. But no, it's again, I just think that's the wrong tactics, really. These defeats just need to.
Oh, sorry, I must click that by accident. But do you think your team is safe? Look, 41 games played, 50 points. Northampton, they've only got 3 games left of this season. They could potentially get over you by 1 point, but do you think your team is safe for this season?
Yeah, I've been saying we've been safe for weeks. I kind of see it going down. It's just, I mean, I don't think we will. It's very highly unlikely, but it would just be nice to get that win or that point in the next game, against yourselves. Just to sort of stop the run of 3 defeats as well. But there's an ex striker or an ex winger in your team there, so I can guarantee you any money he will score against us on Saturday. Good old Sully Kai. Good old player.
Yeah, he's a very good player, is Sully Kai. And Sean, I'll come to you next. When a team, in your view, who probably are safe and they've got nothing to play for, do you think that suits Blackpool? They want teams to come and attack them, like we've seen with Peterborough and Gillingham, for example. So do you think that might affect how Blackpool play tomorrow?
I think it can work both ways. Sometimes when you feel like the pressure's off, you can play with a bit more freedom. But obviously, it's, as Martin's alluding to, if they're sort of setting up defensively as you go into things, you think they probably go, it's a good time to sort of test players in an attacking sense and try new things at this point. I don't think that they're going to go down this purely because, they'll pick up the odd point naturally here or there within the next 5 games. Obviously, they've got a couple of games in hand as well. It kind of just natural process. They're going to sort of pick something up here or there. But as Martin says, they'll want it sooner than later. And if that can be against us, especially off the back of a defeat to Rochdale, they'll want to sort of compound that, and they'll think potentially there's a little bit of weakness in the side now that Rochdale have shown a way to get past us. I think ultimately it's just, if Shrewsbury do sit off the ball, it's having the options to break them down, and we couldn't do that against Rochdale. The play out wide was poor, the deliveries into the box were not on it. You didn't really see us playing through the middle and getting through that way. And Rochdale aren't exactly the strongest defence in the world. They're one of the weakest defences in the league, if not the one that's conceded the most. And it just didn't look like we were ever going to break them down as soon as you got into the final third. And I think you've just got to hope that the difference will be that we'll be more creative in our movement and look like we're going to open them up on Saturday. Yeah,
definitely. 2 comments here, Tom, before I go. Tim Fielden says, we need to get back to what works system-wise rather than playing a system to accommodate Sims. And finally, Stephen says, let's not worry about other teams. It's in our own hands. Is that something that you agree with, that Blackpool have got to go out there and do what they do best, whether it was a Sunderland, where we have to be nitty-gritty, we have to grind out a result? And the other side of that is that when we actually get the ball down and play football and interchange in the front 4, we seem to create chances, don't we? But and score goals. So is that the case that Blackpool and Neil Critchley have to go back tomorrow?
Yeah, we've said many times on here, worry about ourselves, not the other team, and there's no better time than to do that tomorrow. Like Sean said, we need to go 4-2-3-1 in my opinion tomorrow. If they are on the beach, like Martin said, we've got a lot to play for, and if we create early chances and get an early goal, it could be a similar situation to Gillingham. On the other hand, if we start like we did against Plymouth and Wimbledon and those other teams, then we could find ourselves another battle tomorrow. So, look, we've got the quality to win. It's just how we set up tomorrow and the way we go about our business. If we're like we have been at home and we don't know what sort of Blackpool team are going to show up early doors, then we could be worrying. But if we start to attack and create those chances, I think goals will come naturally. I think Shrewsbury away, I think in their last 6, they've drawn 2, 1-2 and lost 2. So it depends what Shrewsbury turn up. But fingers crossed we control the game tomorrow and we get back to winning ways.
For our sakes, let's hope that the Shrewsbury players still think they're on the beach and it can be 4 defeats on the bounce for them. But we'll see what happens come 3 o'clock tomorrow. Moving on to all things Shrewsbury. Martin, I'll bring you in here. 41 games played, 12 wins, 14 draws, 15 defeats, 50 points, which is 1.2 1 points per game, if you look at that on average, and sitting 18th in League One. Just sum up your season in your views for us.
Yeah, well, I mean, it started in a really bad way. Sam Ricketts was on a sort of, you got to nail this season or you're out sort of thing. Because he was just classed by many Shrewsbury fans as a cup manager. Like you probably would have seen from a recent cup results in the last couple of seasons prior to this one that we'd achieved well, and he needed to really prove himself in the league. And the same sort of thing happened. Lack of goals, lack of creativity. It was just boring to watch. And then, yeah, I mean the grumbles on Twitter started, and rightly so this time. He's been given more than enough time. And when he came out after one game, I can't remember which one it was, but he came after one game and he's obviously heard about the fans moaning on social media, and he started having a pop at the fans. When you get to that side of things, you know your sort of game's gone. Like you know you're going to be out the window soon. So and that's what happened. I mean, we didn't really expect Steve Cottrell to come in. There was names floating about, but Steve Cottrell certainly wasn't one. But he's a very good friend of Roland, the chairman, and he tried to take him years ago. But yeah, he came in and breath of fresh air. It's like managers will come in and you either have the good effects or you'll do a Joey Barton and send him down. But which is yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I mean it's great. We had some really tough games. We had Atkinson who were up there at the time, Charlton at home, and then we were away at Lincoln, Donny, and Hull, and we won all 3 of those away. And then I think we played Wigan away, and then yourselves at home, and obviously you were doing all right yourselves, and we beat yourselves as well. So yes, it was brilliant. And then he then unfortunately went into hospital with COVID. So at that point, it was a bit like, okay, we'll just see how it goes this season. And to be fair to the assistant, and the coaches and that, they've been brilliant. They've done superb. And I think some fans are a bit frustrated now, and me included. Naturally, you are. But when you look back at the season to where we were before Cottrell come in, we were very fortunate. We were already doomed to sort of be like, right, we're going to be going down. Like, so Cottrell's sort of come in and turned us around, and it's been one of those seasons really where you just want to forget about it now. A bit like lockdown, really. Just move on. So, yeah.
When it goes just coming in, like wins against Hull, Lincoln, Doncaster, all the way from home, draw against Wigan, win at home against Blackpool. Looking further down, wins against Peterborough, wins against Sunderland. MK Dons is never a tough team to. Always a tough team to play against. So when you're looking at those results, you're thinking we've actually got a chance here, but. Is it just in terms of the managerial situation? Do you think that's played a part in maybe the inconsistency that Shrewsbury have had this season?
Yeah, I think one, I've already mentioned, lack of goals in killing off the teams that we. No, you shouldn't be saying you should beat any team, but if you look on paper with the squad tonight, you look at like this, the teams are winning or looking to achieve results against. But like you say, when you get in the wins against the big teams, it just goes to show you're not far away from a good side. And to be fair, he brought in, 2 or 3 different players which put a bit of class to the team. But other than that, the squad was pretty much used the same. He's not changed much. He just changed maybe the systems and how we're playing. And he's brought in 1 or 2 players that were drafted in that were not even included in the additional 25. So Goss was left out, who was probably one of our most creative players in the middle, and he's been great since he's come in. And I think just basically his experience as well. Ricketts was poached from Wrexham. He's only had 6 months in coaching, like as a manager, and then we poached him. So I think sometimes, Ricketts got a lot of stick towards the end, and he rightly deserves some of it, but at the same point, he'll hopefully learn from that, come back stronger. But Cottrell's got the experience, and so far it's brilliant to see. And I'm so looking forward to next season because when I look at what he did in this league with Bristol City, he took Shrewsbury. He took them from a similar position to where Shrewsbury were, and then obviously got the league title. And I'm not saying we're going to go and win the league title, but I can certainly see us pushing top 10, top 6. Next season.
Yeah, we'll see, and I'm sure everyone associated with Blackpool sends our wishes and hope he's on the touchline soon and in the near future. So hopefully he's back up and running shortly. But just coming to you, Sean, if you don't mind, looking at kind of Shrewsbury's stats, home record, they're sat 21st. 22 points taken from 20 matches. Away record, the mid-table, 28 points taken from 21 away games. That's 1.3 points per game if you look in total. So you look at them and it's just a matter of inconsistency, isn't it? And as Martin says, do you kind of put it down to the managerial situation?
Yeah, I mean, you think of when they played us, it was at that point in time, they were one of the form sides, if not the form side in the league under Cottrell. He got them. He completely turned around their fortunes, really. I mean, I've not seen many teams control us. We just couldn't get going against Shrewsbury because they were on top of you every second ball. It was theirs to be won, and they won it. And I think that ultimately, if you take in that sort of case study before, obviously, he went away with his illness, that is purely what's disrupted the season. It's sort of off-field events have unfortunately come to disrupt things, but they were on such a good run at that point, and I think if they're able to regroup in the summer and go again, there's no doubt for me that they'll have a good season next year under Cottrell. He seems to have it well measured there. Obviously, you mentioned in Sean Goss, I'd like to make his time in Scotland with Rangers and St Johnstone. He played really well there, and he looked like a real good creative option. And if you're able to balance the side, it's always about balance in this league. I think we've got a good balance to our squad, and I think Shrewsbury similarly sort of got that balance to their squad, and that's important going forward. And if they can build on that in the summer, then I'm sure they'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, Tom, I think when you look at the last kind of, say, 7 results, 5 of those have been losses, 1's been a draw, and they picked up 3 points in a 3-0 win against Plymouth. So when you're looking at that, you think they're safe on the 50 points mark, not really picked up many points. So kind of there for taking out tomorrow, if you're looking from a Blackpool perspective.
Yeah, with the position we're in, we need to win that game tomorrow. I don't think they come to Bloomfield Road and tear us apart. In a sense, they obviously they have some respect for themselves and they want to do well. But we need to be sort of, like I said, react to Tuesday, and we've got the quality to win. As simple as that. I think they've got 2 wins in their last 10, and it just shows the inconsistencies and a few draws here and there. And like I said, if we're on top of our game, then there's no doubt in my mind we will win tomorrow. But we can't afford to start slowly.
Yeah, definitely. Just a change of subject here, Martin. There's not that one. Questions come in. It could be the weirdest answer possible, this, but Nick says, how did you get your nickname?
Yeah, so basically in the old grounds on the riverside, and as it is, a teabag got launched at me from behind. Wasn't directly meant to hit me, I don't think, but it just did. I was about 15, 16 at the time, and I had a white jacket on, brand new, saved a bit of money for it, so I wasn't too happy about it. Picked it up in a bit of a rage, and went to go and, when you go throw something real, with a bit of force, sort of just slipped out my hands, and guy in front of me, wee baldy guy, just slapped him right on his head. We stealing teabag. So all my mates behind were singing teabag, teabag, give us a song. So every time now, that's how it's happened. But see, every time I come down from Scotland to watch the town play, teabag. Honestly, probably about 80% of people in Shrewsbury at the games and that don't actually know my name. Just know me as teabag. Even when I met my wife in Tenerife, and we came back, and she came down to Shrewsbury to see us, and we actually went to a game. She's like, "So this teabag thing is actually really true." So people shouting across the road at you, right, teabag, and I'm like, yeah. So it's just stuck since.
I'm sure probably funnier than I thought it was going to be. It could have gone one way or the other way. I'm glad it went the way that you told it there, Martin. But we'll get back with the stats and just talk us through this, Martin, if you will. Goals scored 45, goals against 50, quite low. Is that just a matter of the chances created for your team this season and not putting chances away?
Yeah, I mean, we do create chances, and it's just hitting the target more than anything. I mean, see if Harry Chapman's not playing, or he's come in on loan and he's been great. If he's not on his game as well, then we don't have too many options. We play, like I was saying before, I don't know why we do it sometimes, but we've played too many midfielders in the middle that are too similar. They're just they're great players, but you can't have all of them playing. You need to have at least 2 of them sitting back and having the one like Goss. I mean, Goss for me he needs to start every game. Obviously, sometimes you cannot because of the amount of games that are coming, but I mean, he can pick a pass out. You're saying yourself there, Sean, you've seen Goss play. You know what he's like. He can play. He's a player. He can create things. And yeah, for me, we just haven't played the right people in certain games. And I think you mentioned, I can't remember one of you said about the balance, and that's probably the one thing we have lacked as well. And that makes us very predictable at times, is we tend to play a lot of our attack and play down the left, especially since Better's coming from Man City. Because he's phenomenal. By the way, he'll be in the Premier League in the next 5 years. He's that good. Man City, I mean, we've got a steal in him. And bigger clubs will be looking at him soon if we don't tie him up for a longer contract. So, but yeah, we haven't got that balance at times as well. So games just fizzle out, and we do set ourselves up a bit defensive sometimes. So it's frustrating to watch, but.
Yeah, I guess most teams are built on having a solid defence and going forward. And I think, Tom, we're kind of Blackpool this season have probably not really had that, defensive solidity, have we, really, at the start of the season? And now we're starting to see a team, Tom, that can grind out results, especially look at Sunderland, for example, most recent home game. So I guess it's similar in a way, isn't it? If you look at them, that we're creating chances, but just in the past haven't taken those opportunities when they've come. Yeah.
We were heavily relying on Yates' goals, haven't we? Obviously, when Medine and Yates was playing together, they were scoring goals. But since then, I think our nearest goal scorer is not even on, or with Medine. So that just proves how long he's been out and how little sort of we've scored in terms of sort of over the pitch. So Yates went on that purple patch, didn't he? And but we did create good chances for him, and he created his own. But now we have that, like Sean said, the balance and the defensive identity of playing sort of really sort of well in a 4-2-3-1. We're most effective, and we have been really effective with 4-4-2. But for me, we need to take our chances. I mean, Sean's big into XG, and we've had some games where we've had sort of 1.82 and we've drawn 0-0, drawn 1-1, and that just shows we are creating really good chances, just not putting the ball in the net as much. But the run we've been on, it's not awkward, because obviously not losing in 16 games is awesome, but we've drawn so many games. If we turn them into wins, we'd be challenging for top 2. But if we didn't sort of score, then we might be looking at the bottom half of the table and not in the playoffs. So we can't grumble at the season we've had so far. But in these sort of next 5 games that we've got, we need to sort of take our chances and start seeing out games comfortably to put us in a position in the playoffs where we're going to hurt teams.
Yeah, completely agree. And Sean, coming to you, another Sean Molly, he's top goal scorer in the league with 8 goals in 36 appearances. Harrison Chapman, who Martin was on about 7 league goals in 28 appearances. You've got to look, if you're a Shrewsbury fan, Sean, you've got to really concerned about the number of goals that they've scored this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams are kind of suspect for that in this division. If you're not in that, you look at, there's probably 5 or 6 teams that have been heavily reliant on one goal scorer, and if you take them out, then they're probably not really getting the goal shared around the team. And obviously Shrewsbury don't have that goal scorer in the first place, so then you're missing out on that guy that can grind out that goal when you need it in a game where you're quite evenly matched with a team, or you're struggling to break a team down. That moment of magic, we're able to get that through Jerry Yates, and obviously Shrewsbury don't have that. I mean, it's not the worst goals tally in terms of where they are in the division, but ultimately that's why they are where they are in the division. And a lot of teams around them are in a similar position, really. I think, as Tom was saying about our chance creation, actually in the past 4 or 5 games, it's probably been the lowest it's been all season. Really low, quite alarmingly low in terms of how many chances we're creating in terms of expected goals. I mean, against Sunderland, it was 0.34, which is pretty ridiculous, the lowest tally of the season. We ground it out, a result out against one of the best teams in the division, and it was always coming that we were going to go on to a run like this. And I think I've said in the past about how we can bring in personnel, and it's sort of an interchangeable system, and it's more about the system than the personnel. But as you get into the latter stage of the season and players are starting to tire, and perhaps they're not putting in the 7, 8 out of 10 performances that they're able to put in, then you're starting to rely on individual quality more, and perhaps mixing it up with a different dynamic. And obviously, as we'll come to later with teams, I've kind of put in a couple of players that haven't really had much of a shout this season, just simply because I feel like it's a time for a different dynamic, just to push us over the line towards the end of the season, going into the playoffs. Yeah,
definitely. Martin, we're talking about that goals from forwards, but the names there: Chapman on 7, Worley on 8. But looking into kind of the midfield, defensive, sorry to say, Aaron Pierre scored 4 goals. Ollie Norburton, captain, he scored 4 goals as well. Curtis main forwards 2 goals. Sean Gossey, talking about before, scored 3 goals. So you are getting goals from different areas of the pitch, but it's having that prominent goal scorer, isn't it? That's just maybe one player or one position that your team just missing this season.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we've always had great strikers, and we've always expected them, and they've always been good at everywhere they've gone. For some reason, it's not even just under the last couple of seasons. It's probably in the 22 years I've been a Town fan, I could only identify 3 or 4 very good strikers which would score on a regular basis and give you the 15 plus goals that every team is crying out for. It's not easy to get that striker. Some people have gone down the Peterborough way in the past trying to get a gem from non-league, and others have tried to splash the cash. And, you get the odd one on loan. But yeah, with us, we've had great strikers. But Jason Cummins we had this season, and Leon Clark as well, who's come in. And you're looking at, and on paper, you think they're 2 strikers that are capable of getting the goals that we're missing. But like other seasons, they just have not turned up. I don't know if it's tactics. I don't know what it is. But Jason Cummins has left, gone up to Scotland, and yeah, Scotland's a different sort of league in respect, but you still have to put the ball in, and that doesn't matter what league you're playing. and he's got 5 or 6 goals in 10 games. So to me, I don't know. I can't point my finger on it with some players and forwards that play for us, but it's something that needs to be addressed. And I think Cottrell has that experience, and I really do believe, from what I can see in the past of what he's done, that he will bring in that striker that we need, because we desperately need someone, like I say, to finish off those chances and just help out the others that are scoring 8 or 9 goals a season. Because, like you say, one of them gets injured or the pressure's always on them, and teams, work out that they're the main threat, then they take that out of the game. We've not really got anyone there to rely on. So,
just coming to Jason Cummins here. What was the reason for his move? Is it just in terms of maybe getting some money for him before his contract runs out? To me, it seemed a really strange kind of situation. He's been on loan at Rangers in the past, 2018, scored 6 goals in 18 games, scored famously against Liverpool in the FA Cup in the 4th round, which you were talking about before. So was it a bit of a surprise when he left?
Yes and no. Yes, it was a surprise because we weren't scoring enough, and we needed that sort of the strikers really. We didn't really bring anyone in. We were chasing Will Grigg around like desperately until 11 o'clock at night, and everyone was expecting us to get Will Grigg, and then we got Curtis Main, who missed a sitter against Wolves on loan years ago and never got slated for that. So it was a bit of a shock. But yeah, at the same point, Cummins, he had that ability. He had those big goals and those big games, but I don't know, his attitude sometimes wasn't there. But then Steve Cottrell come out and said that he was happy to keep him, sort of thing, but he basically was honest with him and said he wasn't going to get the games. And he was always training well, so I don't know really. It's a bit of a strange one still, but I firmly believe Cottrell could have got the best out of him, but maybe he's gone now, and we just move on.
No, definitely. I'm assuming this someone's a Blackpool fan who fans maybe know very well. If it actually is the real GTF, then welcome to the Seasiders podcast. I know there's been some names around the recent show, so fingers crossed it is the real Gary Taylor Fletcher. It's great to have you on the Seasiders podcast listening into us. But we'll kind of final question before we move on to kind of, I want to briefly talk about the Super League if fans and people watching don't mind. And Sean, you can make a brew if you want while we talk about it. But Martin, if you were Blackpool fans watching this now, is there one player or a few players who you would say that they should keep an eye on tomorrow's game?
I already mentioned Ogbata. Came from the Man City Academy, obviously wanted to come and play first team football. Never heard of him. Every game he plays, he just gets better, and better. He's just he likes to take on players. It's great. It's refreshing to see a wing back just want to play football and play attacking football. So even though we set ourselves up defensively, he's one that will drive our team forward. He's brilliant. And the weirdest thing about him is he's left-footed and that. Yeah. He scored, I think, two goals on his right foot by cutting inside, taking on players from the edge of the box. So it just goes to show that he can play with both feet as well. And he's he will be a danger to watch out for. He likes to shoot from out distance. He likes to take people on, and he's got a good cross on him as well. So definitely one to watch tomorrow. Other than that, Chapman, as I've already mentioned, he doesn't score tap-ins. So again, if he's on the edge of the box, just need to be wary of what Chapman can do, because he can basically not turn up in the game. I remember one game I was slating him at half time against Burton, saying he needs to get off, he's not in the game, and then he just popped up with an absolute perler and a volley that won us the game. So I had my words on that one, but it just goes to show that he's got that bit of quality as well. So
talking about quality, quality of shirts on show. Sean, we'll move on because Yeah, the Muckers are giving him enough stick anyway. I don't want
There's
to
far
rub
worse
salt
in the wardrobe. Far worse. I'll get the Celtic attire out, and I'm sure they'll love that one.
A little promo. Tune in next week for Sean's wardrobe. We'll have a section on that next week. But moving on to topic, and Sean, if you want to join in, you don't have to, because I know you were part of a 3-4 hour podcast on earlier in the week about this. But Tom, I've not really got your thoughts on this. The Super League that was announced, which I think there's only Barcelona and Real Madrid still involved. That's when I last looked. So, what are your thoughts on the Super League that was brought to our attention late Sunday evening?
I think everything's really been said, especially by the likes of Barry Neville and other players around. Players didn't want it, fans didn't want it, and it just shows that fan power, oversees everything. And we at Blackpool know that more than anybody. But yeah, it's just pure greed for money, and I think they thought people would take differently to it. But it's obviously gone down like a lead balloon, and that's why the English clubs have realised so quickly, and other teams now have realised it's obviously not worth the backlash that it's received. And there's so much more behind it, and there'll be more, news and stuff like this to come in the years to come. They've tried it many a times, and for me, it kills the real football that we know and love from League Two, League One, non-league, Championship. It's just another world that I don't really want to be a part of personally. Mm-hmm. It's weird to say that being promoted to the Premier League is probably our goal, but at the same time, you join this whole world of horrible, situations where it's kind of killing the game that we all know and love. So, I haven't got much else to say apart from everyone say I'm glad it's not happening. So,
Sean, do you want to comment, or do you want me to go straight to Martin?
No, I'd just say I was wanting it to happen purely because, as I said on the podcast, was go ahead. Like, you can go and have your freedom in your precious Super League if you want it. Like, football's better off without them, because why should we have to? The majority of other teams have to then bow down to the new Champions League that was format that was coming in, which basically gave two teams basically a pass into the Champions League based on historical events rather than their actual qualification to the thing. It's already bad enough you can finish fourth in your league and still get qualified automatically. It's a ridiculous concept, and they were just wanting to make it even more swayed that way and more imbalanced. And why should everyone else have to suffer because of the greed of a few? And ultimately, I still wish it was happening. I wish the Premier League teams hadn't pulled out, and now they're obviously becoming complete hypocrites in the way that they're talking about it now, as if they're going to bow down and apologise, as if they were always going to take it into account. From what a lot of people seem to be saying, they were surprised by the reaction of international fans. I think they were expecting international fans to bow down to it and love the concept of it, and love the idea of playing super teams each week. The English fans were the legacy fans, and they were sort of like, well, we can take that on the chin, but the financial benefits elsewhere in Asia and in America would outweigh that anyway. But the reaction from those ends of places has still been negative. So I think that's the case. And as other teams have said, I think Barcelona and Real Madrid are still in it because ultimately the Premier League teams can't really survive without the Premier League. The Premier League goes hand in hand with the things. And if they were going to have to pull out the Premier League to go in the Super League, then that would have sort of thrown them off in terms of their stature as a club, whereas Barcelona, Real Madrid don't really benefit that much from being in La Liga. They don't get the financial benefit from La Liga, whereas if they were in the Super League, they still can, and that's why they're still going for it. I mean, Florentino Perez is talking completely. I've never seen someone so far off the mark. But in Spain, he's like a god there in terms of the media coverage. The media are very much on side with him. There's the main sort of papers in Spain are very much Real Madrid or Barcelona, and they've been completely fine with the concept of it and defending him. So, I mean, it still looks like it could potentially go ahead with those sorts of teams, but ultimately the Premier League's probably too big a fish to be able to just jump out of like that.
Just before I come to you, Martin, a comment's coming here about from the Muckers. Imagine a Premier with Rangers and Celtic. I saw that today, I think yesterday, someone announced that could be a possibility in a restructure of the Premier League. Is that something you'd want? Maybe you probably would want to see it, but is that something you'd agree with? It is that very similar to what we've just seen before, but we still having promotion and relegation. What are your thoughts on that comment?
That was
go on, Sean. Oh, sorry.
Is that to me?
Go on. Yeah, sorry. I just thought of your Rangers and Celtic and
sorry.
Scotland.
Yeah.
My bad.
I mean, it's a terrible idea, and no Celtic and Rangers fans want it. But ultimately, it's not a conversation that's happening in TalkSport. Like to wheel that out every year, and then we'll hear Jamie O'Hara talk a load of crap about it because they want some clicks. I mean, they'll ask everyone who's out of touch with Scottish football who has no idea what Scottish football's about, and they'll ask for their opinion. And it's like if you ask an actual as to like Ali McCoist and people that are actually in Scottish football, they'll tell you that it's a terrible idea. It doesn't work. Celtic and Rangers fans don't want it. They enjoy the Scottish League. The Scottish League's there for a reason. It's all the history that comes with it. And as much as teams feel like that, I think that Celtic's board are so out of touch with the fans at the moment that they would go for it. I don't think Rangers board would, because they seem more in touch with their fans at the moment. But Celtic's board seem to think that they're on some higher echelon than they are, and it's just not something that will ever happen, I don't think, and I don't think fans want it either.
Yeah, there's a comment here said should drop the Super Six, who we call them, down to League Two and promote the top six from each league, which would definitely to please Blackpool fans in terms of that. Before I come to Martin, sorry about this. Cliff says the current Champions League is a sham. Since when did a team finishing fourth in domestic league become champions? Rangers are the biggest team in Scotland, apparently. Definitely have to win in the title. They will be this season, but Martin, come to you.
Got a mute button? No?
For the Muckers? Yeah, there we go. Muted. Yeah. Martin, just come to you. Your thoughts on the Super League before we move on?
Yeah, it was just it was never going to happen. Obviously, you're worried about it like happening because it came out and that. But credit to every football fan in British football for doing what they did, whether it was on social media, going out outside the ground, you name it. They were a massive move in that not happening. And credit to them. It felt very proud to be a football fan that day when it didn't happen. It should never have even been introduced in the first place. But we're always going to have this. It's never going to go away. And these top six that support these fans must feel so cheated on their clubs right now. Because I mean, you feel like you've been cheated on your girlfriend there. How do you go back and trust your club? How can you go back and trust them? That could happen again. It's just, I mean, if it's like you say, Sean, I think it would have been great if the top six had just gone and done what they've done, because a lot of fans would have been supporting the local clubs, and the smaller clubs down the leagues would have had fuller grounds, so that we would have got, that would have happened. But at the same point, you'd always know that they were not true fans of that club. But I mean, money talks, so we'll see what happens in the future. But I personally think that each of the top six clubs should get a big hefty fine. I'm not talking epoxy 500 grand, maybe like 10 million each, and then chuck that towards the leagues, lower down the leagues that have deserved it, that have kept their finances well. And obviously other clubs, or even generate it to educate racism in football. I do a lot of talking on my podcast that was introduced about mental health and racism. I don't think that's been talked about enough. The Super League's been banished. Let's forget about that for now. Let's find them clubs and let's use that money wisely. Not waste it. Let's put it into mental health, racism. Let's talk about that now. That's what I believe.
No, great point there, and I'm sure many fans watching this, listening afterwards, will agree with what all three of you have said on that. But moving on to team predictions and how we think Blackpool will line up, and I'll come to you, Martin, later on in terms of how you think Shrewsbury will line up. But I'll show you my team first because I'm always last, so bring me first for a change. I've gone for Maxwell, 4-4-2, should we say? Maxwell, Gabriel, Ekpiteta, Ballard, Garbett. Midfield, Robson, I think probably just deserves his chance in there alongside Dougal. I know there's been some change between us lot who goes alongside Robson in there. Kai and Mitchell on the wings with Sims and Yates up top. Personally, just think we need to get at Shrewsbury and really put the pressure on from the first whistle. But Tom, I'll come to you. You've gone for a slightly different formation. I'll let you talk us through it whilst it comes on the screen.
Yeah, it's just 4-2-3-1. It works. I think Embleton and Gargai had dreadful games Tuesday, as did a few players, but they both work exceptionally well in the 4-2-3-1 with interchanging positions and creating space. So that's why I've gone 4-2-3-1. I think Robson will come in. Potentially Ward will stay because Ward I think he did do well Tuesday. He's still energetic and breaking up the play. So between Ward and Dougal, but I've just chose what I think Critchley will do. So Dougal and Robson, and Husband to come in more defensive sort of structure, and Garbutt probably deserves a rest, and Gabriel comes in because Turton's played every game recently, and we need that sort of attack and threat down the sort of the wing as well. And I think he'll add that, and he's class. So I'm not saying Turton deserves to be dropped, but I think we need to change it. And like Sean said earlier, it gives us a different dynamic, and Yates works so much better without that second striker with the free attacking for him. So I think Yates to bag tomorrow, hopefully, and get himself back on track.
Yeah, definitely. I've just been told that 4-4-2 doesn't work, so my opinion. But no, great to see everyone in the chat discussing and seeing what they want. He does go on to say 4-2-3-1 all day, which is what Tom and Sean's gone with. We'll read out one before Dan BFC, before we come to Sean. Maxwell, Gabriel, Ballard, Thornley, Husband at the back, Ward and Dougal, the two holding players, with Mitchell, Embleton, Kai, and Sims up top, subs, Ekpiteta, Garbutt, Holmes, Moore, Robson, Turton, and Yates, giving our main striker a rest there. Sean, I'll come to you if you just want to talk us through the team that you've gone for, or you would like to play tomorrow, 4-4-2, I believe, and Holmes making his Blackpool, I say first day, his first start for the club, so after making an appearance late on in the game on Tuesday.
Yeah, as I was saying before, there's different dynamics. I think we've got a few games to go in the season, and as much as we're saying one formation doesn't work, the other does in terms of systems. I think in the past probably 4 or 5 games, neither have worked particularly well. In terms of the personnel, I think we are struggling a bit in terms of fatigue, and obviously in terms of different options creatively, and that's why I've sort of changed it up and thought to throw Holmes in. There's nothing to lose with Holmes. I think he's hungrier than Sims in terms of, if you look at the off the ball work and you're looking at a player that you want to break down a solid side. I don't really see what Sims offers. I think we know exactly what Sims can do. We know what his game is, and that isn't his game. Obviously, as he showed against Rochdale, he was quite lethargic, and just he doesn't have that physical presence about him where you expect him to win that header up against the centre half, or you expect him to be able to turn in behind and push past someone. He's just not. He's not that player. I think Holmes potentially can offer something different, and that's the surprise element. You don't know what to expect with him at the moment, and I think we know what to expect with Sims nowadays. And obviously with Ward and Dougal, it's sort of a hard change between either of them, but I think Dougal's been quite slack in possession recently. I just think that's through tiredness, really, and sort of going through the motions a bit now. And I think he's the one that probably needs a rest more than Ward does. I think Ward's sort of a more naturally fitter player than Dougal is, and Robson's deserved a chance. I mean, earlier in the season against Portsmouth in particular, he was one of the best players on the pitch, and I remember after that game, I was raving about Robson. He's just not really kicked on from there, but he's a player that we know exactly what can offer, that physicality in midfield again, and really that energy. It's just bringing energy to the side. And you're looking at Gabriel, he's someone that can bring energy on the right flank and overload in that position. Mitchell can cut inside and interchange with him. Garbutt was just so poor in terms of his set piece delivery and his creative outlets. And ultimately, if he's not delivering on that front, then Husband's the better left back defensively. So I think just, again, probably fatigue, and in terms of the run of games that he's been in, he's played a lot of games recently. So throw Husband back in, just try and freshen things up and keep things moving. And I just think there's a fair few creative options in there. And then you've got Holmes, who's just that unknown quantity, really, that we could hopefully make use of.
Yeah, it's one thing I was going to say about Holmes, that he didn't hardly touch the ball or at all on Tuesday. But if you noticed off the ball, he was pointing directly behind the defenders and started to sprint behind and started to shout for the ball and to be on the pitch 5 minutes. And as Sean said, his unknown quantity. If we get balls through Robson and playing him in behind, is only going to cause them damage, either by setting up goals or having shots and proving what he's all about. So I loved his positivity when he came on, and he's got to have a better first touch than Sims, although he does a lot right. Sims' first touch lets him down a lot of the time as well. So it'd be nice to see that sharpness with Yates up front as well. So if 4-2-3-1 doesn't happen, it'd be incredible to see Yates and Holmes start.
Yeah, someone else, Cliff Smithy, also agrees with Holmes up top. Maxwell, Garbett, Ballard, Thornley, husband, no right back in there, or a predominant right back, should we say, in the likes of Turton and Gabriel. But Ward and Dougal in midfield with Mitchell, Embleton, Yates, and Holmes up top. That's what he's gone for, and Steve's gone for Maxwell, Gabriel, Garves, Ballard, Ekpateta, the back four, Dougal and Ward, two older midfielders, Mitchell, Embleton, Kai, and Jerry Yates up top. Martin, I'll come to you. As a kind of a formation, a system that you think Shrewsbury will play tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we'll just stick to what we have done because, I mean, it has been working a lot and I can't see us changing it much with the players we have got. So it'll be the three at the back with two wing backs pushing on in midfield. And then you've got the three in the middle with one sitting more in the attacking position. And then just the two up top. So it's sort of like a 3-4-3 at times, sometimes a 3-5-2, just depends on how the game's going. But Ogbeta and probably Donald Love on the left and right as wing backs, with Pennington, Williams, and Ebanks Landau in centre back. But personally, for me, I'd like to see young Ryan Sears get another chance. He had a terrible game the other week, got hauled off at half time, but he's had a bad spell of injuries, and I think we just need to freshen it up a bit. And he's a good player in there, so you know, we just need that point or whatever. So I think maybe give one or two of the young lads a chance. So I'd like to see him play, but I don't think he will. And then in the middle, Josh Vella and Norborn will be the two sitting players. I pray to God we don't play Davis, because that'll just be a disaster. We might play Walker because he's come back from injury, so he may come in. But if not, it's hard to predict our team at the minute because we just keep chopping and changing. But I'd like to see Goss sitting in that more forward position, and then it could be anyone with Sean Worley, Chapman, and Main or Udu in that top two. Personally, I'd like to see Chapman and Main because he's got that work rate and he'll basically chase all the balls down. Not clinical in any way, but he'll put a lot of teams under pressure. I believe that Ballard at the back that plays for yourself, very impressive with him. On loan from Arsenal, very good player, can play on the ball from what I've seen. He looks like he's going to be a big player if he reaches his potential. But I believe Blackpool, from what I've seen, like to play it around as well. So if Main can sort of press the defence, you know, we can maybe like a Sean Worley or Chapman who's playing up top with him can sort of jump on that. But we've also got a young lad, Caton, who's come on the last couple of games. And there's been crying out for him starting, soon. And he nearly got the equaliser against Wigan in the last minute. So it wouldn't surprise me if he got a longer run out against Blackpool. If we had that a couple of points extra, he may have even started. But I can see him starting probably maybe the last couple of games. But yeah, it could be any lineup tomorrow, really. Yeah, I got 11. I got 11 out of 11 on the fan hub couple of weeks ago, and then I got 6 out of 10 on the last game, so who knows.
Inconsistency, just like the team itself this season. That actually reminds me, I need to do mine on there as well, the fan hub app, is it called? So that tells you how long I spend on that app, to be fair. But just before we talk about it, we've got a few comments coming in. Owen says, massive step up for Holmes, a big difference between playing in League One than the under-18s. And we're also, Tim Field, regarding Brad as well, I'm not sure you can take Yates out of the team. Nothing to be lost in playing Brad. And did I tell you I coached him? I think we've heard it a number of times, but moving on from that, we'll go through...
Just on the Holmes comment, obviously Sims has come from a similar background with Everton, obviously at a higher level in terms of his youth career, and for me, I think Sims just doesn't really suit the way we want to play, doesn't really suit the style of playing. I think he is a really good striker, but I just think he could have gone to a team that plays well up top and likes to get balls in behind, and he probably scored 15, 20 goals, but it's just not, that's not the system we're playing. So it's just about mixing things up. It's that, again, unknown quantity. And ultimately, if you've got a youth player that's scoring the amount of goals hamsters and you still don't play him, what's the point in our academy existing? For me, I don't see the point in it being there if you're not gonna play in these sort of players in these games and take gambles with them. I was just thinking it'd be interesting to see if Curtis Main plays against us, because during his time obviously with Motherwell, he was really physical presence, really hard battler, and he caused a lot of problems for good teams that play good football. I mean, Celtic and Rangers both really struggled against Curtis Main when they played against him, and if we're sort of not able to win that physical battle against him at the back, it'd be hard to keep control of the game. So if we do come up against Curtis Main, he'll definitely be one to watch out for in terms of the defensive battle.
Yeah, definitely. Just a quick one, what managers have said before score predictions. So if you're watching, do leave your score predictions below. We'll read them all out straight after this short section. But it was Town assistant manager Aaron Wilbraham. He spoke to the media this week and expects a stern test from Neil Critchley's team, but hopes to see Town team raise their performance levels against the Seasiders. On the gaffer, Steve Cotterill, he goes to, I've been speaking to him and he's getting stronger all the time. He's still got a lot of instructions to follow from this specialist. He's still having x-rays and CT scans and things like that. They are lowering his medication and things like that, heading in the right direction. He has been raring to come back from day one. So that should be good news for all fans. Regarding the fixture, he says Blackpool went 16 games unbeaten before their loss against Rochdale. So they've been doing really well. We've managed to get 3 points against them at our place earlier in the season, but they are a good side and they try and play good football. The manager has them playing really well, so we know it's going to be a tough game away from home. He goes on to talk about Yates and his performances this season. So that's what Aaron Wilbraham had to say. And I've got the wrong one here, but no, I haven't. Neil Critchley, short one here on the Blackpool website. If you head over to that, it's on the preview section. He says you can sense the frustration in our players after suffering defeat on Tuesday. There's a huge desire to put the wrongs right. Our next focus is on Shrewsbury and what we need to do to win that game. We want to be as consistent as possible over the final few matches of the season. Tom, if I just get your reactions to what Neil Critchley says there, I guess one thing is that the players know that they're frustrated, and as a collective now, they need to be consistent, don't they? If one, they're going to get in the playoffs, and two, going to be successful in those playoffs.
Yeah, like we've said all along, we just want to see reaction, don't we? And so does he. I think, again, he showed he was quite calm, but also you can see he was a bit irritated with the performance. And, you know, with certain aspects of his interview, you can say that he wanted to put it right and he was eager to do so. But I'm with Sean on this one. I think we need to make a few changes just to, one, show the lads that they're not sort of irreplaceable, and two, just to add something different in terms of teams match prepping against us, because, you know, they just play the same sort of foot system that works against us. And if we change it up, then we're going to have a different sort of aspect to our team. And like I said, it's up to the players to give Neil Critchley the reaction. I'm sure he's prepped them for one, and hopefully we can see that tomorrow.
Yeah, Sean, a quick one from you before we get our score predictions in. What were your thoughts on the manager's press conference there and what he had to say regarding the game on Tuesday, and looking forward to this one?
Yeah, it's quite funny, really, because obviously right at the start of the season, if he'd have been coming out with those comments, we'd have really been questioning whether that's the case. But now he's kind of full trust that is the case in the squad. You see the hunger in the squad. As I said, it wasn't that they were like having an off day. They were being almost taking it for granted at Rochdale. So I just generally think it was fatigue and just going through the motions a bit in terms of playing the same way with the same players over a consistent amount of time. You're bound to sort of steady up and have an off day. But I think, again, we've shown before, as I mentioned, the Ipswich defeat before, and I mean, we really thought then, because we were like, let's go on a run, let's show ourselves. This is the game where we can show ourselves against a really good side, and then we just sort of fell flat on that. And you thought, well, that's how the consistent theme of the season. But since then, it's been really relentless in terms of performances. And if they can come back against Shrewsbury and just pick up even a 1-0 win and just pick up that 3 points, then ultimately that's all you need at this stage in the season. That just gets the confidence going again. And more importantly as well, if you're bringing in new players and freshening up the players that haven't played for a while, they'll then be part of that team confidence that builds, and you've just got more options then that are going to be on form.
Yeah, definitely. We'll finish off with our final section of tonight's podcast. It is the score predictions. So if you've not got them in already, do leave them below. We'll read the first one out here that's come through. He says 4-4-2 gets us a 2-1 defeat. Playing 4-2-3-1 gives us a 2-1 win. So that's Owen's comments there. Ray Gregson, thank you for your score prediction. He predicts Blackpool to win 2-0 at home to Shrewsbury. Tom, I'll start off with you in terms of what you think the score prediction is going to be. And if you've got goal scorers in that, do let us know.
2-0, Mitchell and Yates.
Short and sweet. Martin, I'll flip it round to the opposition. What are your score predictions, or score prediction for tomorrow, should I say?
Yeah. The reason why I'm going for this, I'm not saying this because I'm a Town fan. I've got to back my team, but also there's a reason behind it. So I reckon we're going to win 2-1. Kai will definitely score against us. Guarantee you that. That'll win you a bit of money. But no, I just, from what I mean, I've been to Blackpool 4 times to watch Shrewsbury, and they've won 3 and drawn 1. And just in general, in the 22 years, we seem to have quite a good record against Blackpool. I can't remember us losing. And I'm trying to think of a game we did lose. To be honest, even in a cup match, we've beaten you as well. So when you're in the championship, so that's my reason. I think we have been a bit of a bogey team for you in the past. And I just feel as though if it wasn't for those 3 defeats in a row, it may be different, but I think there's going to be a few harsh words said maybe. Players need to remember they've got contracts to play for, and I think there will be a bit of an edge about us tomorrow. Plus, we're playing a better team. We always turn up against the better teams, and that's why I'm going to go for us to win tomorrow. Blackpool are going to go and attack us, which will leave us to obviously counter-attack as well, and hopefully exploit some of the gaps. So it could be a quite interesting game, between the both of us.
Yeah, we'll see if it's a cracker down on the Foul Coast. Before I come to Sean for his prediction, Stephen says if we can get at them, I can see it being a 3-0 victory for Blackpool. Dan BFC, Dan, thanks for your comment before. I left it right at the end, the 12 games not beating Shrewsbury, which is a worrying stat, to be fair. That might change Sean's prediction later on. But he goes for 1-0 either way. And Andrew says 3-0 to the Pool. Sean, if I can ask your score prediction and any goal scorers if you think we're going to get one.
Yeah, just first off, I can't believe we haven't mentioned that cup game against Shrewsbury when I think it was Jeffrey Rentmeister and Joel Dielner's debut under Jose Riga. We went down on the midweek and it was an absolute shambles at the time. I think they both signed on the day of the game, hadn't met each other on the team coach, and then that goal we parted like the Red Sea and it was straight through, and it was one of those disgraceful performances I've ever seen in a Blackpool team. But yeah, I'm going 1-0 tomorrow to ourselves. I'm going Brad Holmes for the goal. I just think it'll be one of those games where it's, again, quite narrow contest, not much chances created. But if you can pick up the 3 points, which we have kind of done in these sorts of games, then that's all that matters at this stage.
Was that the game Scott Vernon scored, I think it was? Or is that another cup game? Yeah. Former Blackpool player scoring against his side. Will it happen tomorrow with a current Blackpool player scoring against his former side? I think Martin thinks that might happen. Just reading through some of the comments. Phil says Shrewsbury got a great record. I think we have 1 win in 16. It's very somewhat similar to that. And Dan also says he went to that cup game and took his boots just in case because he didn't know what was going on back then. But probably a game that we need to forget about. But it's just coming up to 9:10 on the Friday evening, the day before the game. So we'll finish off there because it's been an insightful show, that's for sure. And just want to say a big thanks to Martin for coming on the show, and I really hope you've enjoyed your time on it. Yeah, it's been brilliant. Thanks, guys. It's one of the better podcasts I've been on as well and speaking to, so I've really enjoyed it. Thanks. Yeah, no, again, appreciate you giving up your time and everything. So a huge thank you. And if you ever need us in the future on any of your shows, do get in touch, and we'll definitely. There's plenty of us here to help out. So we'll keep in touch, and obviously Same with yourself, Sean and Tom. Great to have the duo back together once again after being separated, like Blackpool's defence on that Tuesday night back in 2014. But no, good to have you on, and I hope you two have enjoyed it as well.
It was good.
Yeah,
We didn't
cheers,
get your score prediction.
My score prediction. Yeah. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Blackpool win. Yates and Marv Ekpiteta to get the goals for us if he plays. That is, if not, Yates to bag 2. So I think it's going to be a set piece and a Yates goal from inside the box. If we're going to be precise, because you've got one right this season, so it's only fair if I can join you on that one. But that's for us. Again, huge thanks for all the comments coming here. Good show, and thanks to Martin Teabag, using the nickname there. And Steve says, good show. Steve, thanks all. Again, the comments are great to see, and great to see what Martin had to say regarding the podcast. It's great to hear opposition fans say that. But from all of us at the Seasiders podcast, we're going to finish it there. But if you haven't already liked and subscribed to the YouTube channel, I think we're only 4 or 5 away from reaching a new milestone. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and let's hope we can get to that magic 800. And the target is 1,000 before the end of the season. So fingers crossed we can get to that. But if you're also on other social media channels, do like our pages and do follow us on Twitter. It does make a massive difference in the reach that we can get. But if you're not had enough of the Seasiders podcast, they are back tomorrow at 6 p.m. to review the game against Shrewsbury, where hopefully Blackpool can get back to winning ways. From all of us, good night.